Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. What a great weekend of sports. Arena Sabalenka completes the comeback for the Women's Championship. Novak Djokovic basically beats the pants off Tsitsipas. So I guess we got two tiebreakers. Maybe it was a little closer. It's my 76ers, the should-be MVP, Joel Embiid, leads the comeback against the Denver Nuggets. I'm sure there was some sort of great hockey game that I missed, but I think that's everything. There wasn't anything else going on this weekend that was worth watching, right?
Yeah, now that Bruce Boudreau has been relieved of his duties, I have not paid attention to hockey at all. We'll get back to it once we get to the we'll talk about it Friday. Probably talk about it tomorrow when Matt's in. And then Patrick. I forgot Max Homa. I was the only one who didn't have the Homa ticket, but I did well on matchups. Congrats to Ryan Noonan and Mr. Ron Kloss, my BetSperts golf colleagues. Both had Homa. In fact, Ryan had Homa and Keegan. So like once it got down late and Ryder finally goofed up, he had the first and second place guy. It didn't really matter how it was going to go from there. So congrats to them. Probably run some sort of promo. Check that out on Twitter. If we win, I'm just going to keep running promos. I don't care. Just giving away. I'm like a used car salesman. Like I'm just giving away money. Like the
You're like
prices.
Mattress Mac.
Yeah.
You win the bet, you
Matt,
give the money back.
Max Homa's scores are dropping, and so are my prices. I can't help it. But no, golf was fun. I actually watched a lot of the other tournament out in the desert, as Dan has just posted on his Twitter. The shots are it's beautiful. Like it's silly to think like a city can be more beautiful than some of the pristine nature that we've seen in like the Hawaiian stuff. But my God, it's just cool looking at some of those shots.
It's the dichotomy of it.
The Dubai Desert Classic, yeah, there is a dichotomy between like the palm trees and the lush grass and then the huge city out there. So that was fun. The NFL games weren't actually good, but you can still enjoy bad games. As how? How can you do it? Well, Andy, you could have bet on the Eagles, which I did, and it doesn't cheapen the money for me. It still spends the same. I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more of a game, but it's one of those where never has an Eagles bet felt safer once they put Brock Purdy in. Like, oh no,
Back in.
they've hit the forfeit button without hit. Like, if that was tennis, that's just a retirement. Like, well, we're just going to run the ball even though we're down multiple scores. And, we'll get into more of that this week, especially on the deep dive. We'll do a full, tonight. Tonight we're going to do a full kind of autopsy of both games. But yeah, the second half of that game was a slog of just watching poor Kyle Shanahan with both hands tied behind his back, still trying to, just trot a team out there and do anything. UGLY, no alibi. And the second game was good, despite a lot of errors by both teams and the refs, coming in some high leverage spots. But again, I had some KC futures. I had a KC Philly parlay essentially. So I was happy with the results. I was happy to see one fan base sad. And yeah, now we got 2 weeks. Glad we got this all out of the way because we got 2 weeks to talk about it, guys.
It's exciting. I'm already started looking at some of the prop menus. I know my annual Super Bowl first quarter unders and no scores for the first however many minutes. Can't wait to put those in. That's going to be a lot of fun. And for the NFL's rigged crowd, just stop. It's officiating. They got put in some weird spots. I think that most of the calls, it turns out they made were correct. It took them a little while to get there. I mean, the play redo, that's one of the strangest things that's ever happened in an NFL game. I didn't even know that was a thing, but if they really did run on the field and blow the play dead, it doesn't count. Like,
yeah, that happens a lot. It just usually stops before they actually throw the pass and tackle them. It was just really, really loud. Yeah, we had that, and we had the wire where they like did the wire get hit by the pond, which is super weird.
That's pretty shameful. They don't have some camera or some way of seeing that because that's what we were sitting. I was sitting with a bunch of Eagles fans watching that. They were all furious because at that point the game was still kind of close and Purdy hadn't gotten hurt yet. But it didn't seem like they had a good camera angle on that. Like, shouldn't the camera on the wire have an angle of that? Like,
well, not only that, but like, yeah, can't they just go to the camera on the wire and sync it up? And like, when you think it hit the wire, if the camera does this, like, it might have hit the wire.
It's got to be a better solution.
I'm sure there's, obviously there's stabilization technology with a camera that expensive, but I would think you could tell. So yeah, I'm not in the like NFL's. Here's the thing: the NFL is so incredibly bad at everything they do for being a multi-billion-dollar company. If they tried to rig a game, they'd screw it up. Like it would be so poorly botched. Like that's why
That's a
I don't
great
buy into
point.
it.
Like you can't say the NFL's stupid, but also say they rig games. And I mean, if anything, what we saw in both these games, what's more chaotic than a football game? Like that was insanity. Again, I was kind of impressed the refs were able to keep any modicum of control at all, and even in the second game, like man, that thing really could have gone south.
Trent Williams throwing a guy down was pretty awesome. Like
Oh yeah,
that
by the way, we
was
should talk about the line. What'd you think of the line? Chiefs open as
yeah, and
favorites, and the Eagles get bet.
so Drew and I did halftime yesterday, and we both went on record. Drew said 2.5. KC should be favored by. I said 2, and then it opened to pick 'em, and it went the opposite way. Now there are a fair amount of injuries for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only the wide receivers, but the defensive pieces. Mahomes was pretty hobbly still later in the game, where I think some of his concussion water was wearing off or whatever he took, the Toradol. So, I mean, it still has to be noted that he was not mobile. He really didn't run that much. He didn't scramble that much. That matters. But I think the really weird piece is like Jalen Hurts, took some shots and then essentially they ran the ball 17 times in a row. And his fastball didn't look great either. So both quarterbacks injured, but with 2 weeks to go, I guess we'll track this. There was some buyback this morning. I've mostly been tracking Chris. They took weird limits to start, by the way, for like the first half hour. Other places were taking big limits. Chris said $1,000 tops. That's it. And it was still jumping all over the board, but they did get up to 2.5. There's places that have touched Eagles 3. Bookmaker Chris down to a flat 2. Total has ticked back up to around 50. I know some places opened 51. That got bet down a touch, but I don't know. I'm waiting for injury news. It is going to be a problem. I mean, Mahomes was dinged up and that mattered too. But the offense without Tony and when you're starting Matt Kemp, it's like your wide receiver 2. That offense didn't look great at times. Pacheco got a little dinged up, so we'll see if there's a
Rough
bunch
at
of
the end.
if it's like a cluster injury to your skill position players. I could be down with this being a pick or Philly -1. I guess we'll see. I kind of want to watch Mahomes practice a little too.
We'll see. We've got 2 weeks to break it all down, and like you said, there's a lot of flies in the ointment here. We don't know which quarterbacks are healthy, if any of them. Like you said, the Chiefs are they going to have anybody to even catch or run the ball at this point? Like it's a mess. And I'm sorry, Lake Show. No, we are not going to be. Well, unless Andy has a big surprise for me, I don't think we're going to be doing shows from Media Row.
Drew hit me with that yesterday. He's like, "Do you want to just go to Arizona?" So there's a small chance, but it's more of, "Hey, do you want to go to Arizona and do peyote?" kind of thing, and also say hi to some NFL people. So I don't know. Maybe we'll go see who's down there. Also, I had to check into the laws in Arizona on certain things and check into flights too. Might go down there. Haven't told the wife one way or the other. I kind of floated the idea out there last night, and we'll see how that goes. So possibly, but let's bet on some stuff. NBA, college basketball, tennis, golf. Let's get into all of it, guys. So, starting with something you have really been bending your mind around all morning. Don't think I don't pay attention to the NBA chat.
You do read a little bit of that, which is nice. We've got 8 games this morning, 2 picks. The other 6 games, as I quickly look through, my Sixers host the Orlando Magic. My Sixers, our Magic. Kind of lean towards the Magic here, but if Embiid is going to be in, that's a really tough game for Orlando. So have to wait on that. The Sacramento Kings visit your Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know if they'll be lighting the beam tonight in Sacramento, but it does seem like a good spot for your Timberwolves as dogs. Again, got to wait to see how the injury report shakes out. The Spurs are playing the Wizards. Just do something else. Don't think about that game. Kind of like the Pistons as underdogs against Dallas, but we'll see what's going on with Luka there. The Suns-Raptors game is another one. Do something else. Watch a movie. Spend some time with your friends. Don't think about Raptors, Suns. And then Hawks, Trailblazers. Dan's team. Very, very appealing as an underdog in Portland, but I've yet to pull the trigger. 2 bets I have made, though, and the first one is kind of what you're talking about. This Lakers Nets total No LeBron, no Anthony Davis. That generally means it's Russell Westbrook time. The pace is going to be way up. The Lakers will be up and down the floor, really pushing the ball. It's been a great spot for overs for them. The Nets, without Kevin Durant, with all their shooters, with Kyrie Irving, with less defense, have been still putting up some huge numbers. And again, the pace has quickened for them quite a bit. So I had this total in the mid 230s and was a little confused this morning. It's been pushed around. It's still sitting here right at 230, but it seemed like it was being bet down a little bit, and it's kind of steadied out. So I'm curious to see where the market goes, or if there's something maybe I missed there. But that seems like a really nice over spot. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, one of the best home teams in the NBA in terms of covering and in terms of achieving better performance than they do in general, against one of the worst road teams in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. Looks like the Warriors have everybody going tonight. Curious to see if maybe they do rest a couple guys, but even if they have the full lineup in here, I'm a little bit nervous. The Thunder don't have Lou Dort tonight. He'd be a nice piece defensively against some of these Golden State Warriors guards, but no big men here that are really going to trouble Oklahoma City. The Thunder basically have no centers. Just really no big men to be seen on that team. And anytime they run into a team that either attacks the rim a lot or has a couple big guys, really struggle. But that's what we have here in Golden State. Not really too many guys making moves towards the basket. Again, no real center to speak of, with all due respect to Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. They're not, big guys. They're going to crush you on the inside. So really like the matchup here. And my numbers had this closer to a 2-point game. So happy to take the 5 points at the Thunder. Again, see a little bit like that. Yeah, Kevin, in terms of the MVP market, let me just pull up the lines here. I didn't get a chance to check, but it really does feel like to me that Joel Embiid should be, if not the favorite, pretty much tied as favorites with Jokic at this point. And I know that everyone's talking about, they're not going to give it to Jokic 3 times in a row. And I've said that a bunch, but it seemed he's been fantastic. He really has been good. But I think what Embiid did last night is something that people remember now. You have to trust Joel Embiid to be healthy for the rest of the season, which we know there'll probably be a few games that he misses. But if the Sixers make the push for the 1 seed, he's got a chance. So if you're thinking about Embiid, bet a little bit on MVP, bet a little bit on the Sixers to finish at the 1 seed. We'll see. Why isn't this loading? I'm trying to see what the actual price is. I think Embiid is actually the favorite. No, actually, he's not. Jokic is now the favorite, minus 115 to win the MVP. I'm looking at Embiid plus 260. So I'm going to go ahead and see what the best numbers I can get at Embiid are, or again, look around and see if we can get the Sixers 1 seed at a decent number. But it was a really big game. So we'll see how it goes.
And I believe that is I have to pull up my sports book here, and this one is going to get buried because I've bet a lot of stuff since, but I still have the Philadelphia 76ers to beat the Denver Nuggets in the finals at 175 to 1, as I did my NBA. Oh, that would be sweet. They did not let me bet very much on that, but it would
Probably
still
got
be
$10. Maybe
yeah,
5.
it would still be a very nice payout if that were to be the. And truthfully, I would probably hedge that. I don't hedge much, but if those two teams get to the finals, I will have to bet, and it's hard to say what the price would be at that point based on form 6 months from now and the injuries and God knows what's happened in that. But I'd probably take a little swing on the Nuggets there just to have some cash come out of that because it's the NBA. Not exactly my strong suit. As people are pointing it out, the NBA apologized to LeBron. That was actually kind of a fucked up apology. Like that was like a breakup letter, kind of like I can't sleep at night and oh my God, I need to be better, and you're gonna make me a better
It was
better
very
man, guys.
dramatic.
It was very over the top. I didn't fully understand who they put in charge of that. Um,
I mean, it was a huge mistake. If you go back and look at it,
yeah, I
LeBron
mean,
gets
they
absolutely
messed up.
smacked on the arm. You can see it clearly. You can hear it clearly. And refs miss calls. Like that was worse than any call that happened in either of the football games yesterday. I mean, that was just a blatant missed call. It really affected the game. There was no way for them to challenge it. It did lead to one of my favorite things that's ever happened. I've never seen a player do what Patrick Beverley did. He walked over, grabbed one of the cameras from the cameraman on the side, and walked over to show the refs what the mistake they had made. Now, of course, that's an immediate technical foul, but
Yep.
that was funny.
Pat Bev don't give a bleep. That's what Pat Bev. You love him if he's on your team. You hate him if he's not. I kind of love him either way. He's a fun guy. I did have the benefit of having him on my team last year, which was great. So, the those some really good teams you talked about there. Let's mix it up a little and not talk about good
Let's go the
teams.
other way.
Very, very light slate on a Monday. Like you don't have a ton. There are some Summit League games. We have South Dakota taking on Oral Roberts. That's kind of the bottom of the Summit. The Oral Roberts is very good. This is like a 15-point spread in conference. Oral Roberts is pretty legit. And then I think South Dakota State's taking on KC. So you have some Summit League, but it is mostly like SWAC, MEAC, Independence, Patriot League stuff. Looks like Colgate's a pretty heavy favorite over Loyola. Even I'm not touching Loyola there, even though I did bet against Colgate the other day. But yeah, both of them. Actually, you know what? One MEAC, one SWAC play, and this is going to be a case of, when you talk about making a case for a bet, and you talk about, hey, here's something good about this team. It's hard to do it when these teams are ranked like 330th in the country kind of stuff. It's mostly this number's awful big and the favorite kind of does some things bad, but I don't like Jackson State. Actually, you know what, South Carolina State, they played a pretty toughish schedule non-conference. I know we're deep into, I think it's 6 games deep into conference play. They haven't won one yet. Maybe they get one. Coppin State's pretty bad. Delaware State's pretty bad. They probably win one or two. Last time I proclaimed a team wasn't going to win a single game this year, LIU, the bottom ranked team in the entire world, they went out and won outright as like a 10-point dog. So I won't pull the shit. Maybe I should shit talk them, and they'll play like crazy. Maybe they're watching, but South Carolina State isn't that bad. They do have some decent shots at some wins here. Today probably isn't it. It's an away spot at Howard, but in that smallish sample size of 6 games, they are your number 1 offensive rebounding team in said conference. Extra possessions, and Howard, again, smallish sample size, but if you look at their whole sample of work, they turn the ball over quite a bit. It's not been great as far as that goes. They're letting teams shoot on them. Their defense is a little struggly at times. They can give it up on defense. The offense has played well, especially in conference. They are 5-1. That's why we're getting a big old price here. So 10.5, 11. I'm pretty happy with that. And then Jackson State, down south in Jackson, Mississippi, in the SWAC, taking on Southern. This is another one where, what's something nice I can say? And granted, like in the 7-8 games that we've seen Jackson State play, they haven't turned the ball over a ton. They're actually shooting, if you take out 3-pointers, just regular 2-point shots, points in the paint, they're shooting at a decent clip. Their defense is not that bad, all things considered, conference-wise. And Southern, I don't have as, honestly, like, the offenses look good, but it didn't look good until we got to conference play. They started playing some of these schmucks. And really, they lost Arkansas Pine Bluff. They can lose to anybody. I have this number closer to like 6, and they've been pretty horrid on the offensive rebounding the offensive glass so far in conference play. So getting 8 there in Baton Rouge. Yeah, the Jaguars of Baton Rouge. So Jackson State +8, SC State +10.5, some real garbage teams. And as Patrick's pointed out, Kellen Moore to the Chargers. That made so much sense after the announcement was weird, and they said, hey, they agreed to part. Well, the phrasing though was they agreed to part ways, because somebody's like, "Oh, Kellen Moore got let go," and then the reports come out.
I left my first job.
Yeah, and then they said agreed to part ways. I'm like, "Oh man, this guy has another job already, doesn't he?" And then like a half hour later, the Chargers. I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together, but the Chargers thing came out a while later, and apparently, boom, it's happening already. So that's no matter how you feel about Staley, I think it's probably an upgrade in jobs, all things considered. You get a really good young quarterback, some talent, and
you're not forced to run Ezekiel Elliott a bunch.
Yeah, you don't have to work with Mike or Jerry anymore, so good for them. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. News dump, guys. Speaking of news dump,
can he keep players healthy? Is there anything Kellen Moore can do to improve the injury situation?
That
somehow followed them from San Diego to Los Angeles?
An investigation into like the medical facilities or the people working there, figure out what's going on. Some teams are just snake bitten. That's the 49ers quarterback room. I think another one just got hurt right now. Oh, I'm going to try these. So the Aussie Open's over, but tennis goes on as it often does. By often, I mean 11 months of the year. And the women head to a couple fun locations. One of them's actually kind of a bit of a travel spot, Lyon in the heart of France, and Hua Hin, Hua Hin, which
I think it's Wawin.
Huawin, Philippines,
Close. Go a little
Indonesia.
further north.
I don't know. Taipei. Is that a thing?
Oh, Thai. That starts with Thai.
Thailand.
There you go.
There we go. Who win? Who win? I'm gonna go with that. I like that a lot. So
These are some of the more interesting weeks in tennis. It's a big transition week here. They leave Australia. The next big tournament is not until the second week of February when they go to, basically they do the Middle East swing, if you will. There's a tournament in Abu Dhabi. There's a tournament in Doha, and then another tournament in Dubai. So before they do that, they got to scatter all across the world. There's an indoor tournament in Lyon that I have some picks in. Huawin is in Thailand. That's a tournament that it's one of the few Asian tournaments left now that we don't play tennis in China anymore. So it's not a bad spot. You just kind of go north. It's an interesting tournament. And then, Andy, there is a clay tournament. I don't have any picks in it right now, but in Cali, Colombia, there's a clay tournament this week.
who's going to that? Like, who's the biggest name there?
Let me try to see. It was a pretty interesting draw. Let's see who the top seed in the draw is.
I suppose that's not that much further than
Reka
heading.
Luca Jani is the number one seed in this tournament. I would say the most popular player, the name that you'd be most likely to recognize, would either be Nadia Podoroska or Haley Baptiste, maybe.
I know Baptiste. I suppose the travel spot isn't that much worse than heading to France, but that's weird. Let's not bet on the clay one yet. Let's just stick to the hard courts.
All right, we'll stick to the hard courts. Yeah, nothing in the clay tournament in Cali, Colombia. I didn't know there's a place called Cali, but we'll start with Lyon. This first match actually starts a little bit after the show here wraps up. Olga Danilovic, actually about an hour after the show ends here. Olga Danilovic comes through in qualifying, goes against Jewel Niemeyer. Should be a really fun match. Two really good young players, but Danilovic in much better form. Again, we love betting on qualifiers coming through. And as I started this, my number spit out 130 instead of the 155, the 160 that you're seeing out there. So, I start with kind of my number at 130, try to tweak it a little bit for, and again, her advantage in form, having been here and already qualified, and then, tweak Niemeyer down a little bit. I ended up with a number close to plus 125, plus 120 for Olga here. So happy to take the underdog. Again, was able to get plus 165 yesterday. There's a plus 160 out there. Really anything plus 150 or better looks good. First set over. We're going to take Anna Bogdan and Clara Burrell, two players very evenly matched. The line here does have Bogdan as a solid favorite, which makes sense to me. But again, given the form, given that we'll be playing indoors, it should generally be a tournament where you're trying to look to play overs. This first set over here at 9.5 at plus money looks great to me. I had this closer to minus 15, almost minus 120 for the over 9.5. So expecting at least a 6-4, maybe a 7-5 here. We'll probably try to find an over 10.5, but there was nothing up this morning. And then a big underdog. Teresa Martinsova goes up against Caroline Garcia. Garcia generally does play well in her home country of France, but had a really rough match at the Australian Open. Has been playing kind of some funky tennis this year, and indoors, Martinsova is really comfortable. Again, another Czech tennis player, not as good as some of the younger women that we've been talking about more these last couple of weeks, but has everything you want from somebody on indoor hard court. So love this plus 450. I had this in the plus 300s, and the 5 games looks really nice. This is not a match where I really expect Garcia to blow her out. And if Martinsova can take a set, we're in great shape. Even 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, 7-5, we've got to cover there. So happy to take the plus 5, especially at plus money. Do not need to lay the juice for the 5.5. Those are around minus 125, minus 130. So really plus 5, plus anything looks pretty good. And then a parlay. I'm going to take two women that generally play very well indoors, really peak during this time of the season. Start with Anna Blinkova, goes up against Erica Andreeva. Andreeva, a nice quality young prospect, should be getting better, but nowhere near the level of talent of Blinkova, and I don't even think we'll actually even get that good. So a really nice spot for her. She was minus 170. I had her closer to minus 225. And put it together with Shuai Zhang, who has made a career of not only winning some of these indoor tournaments, but also basically beating every single player as a favorite. She has an incredible record as a favorite indoors. It's stunning. I mean, even better than some of the lines would suggest. And looking at her here, she's minus 185 against where does that name go? It's Madison Brengle. I wasn't sure if it was Mona Barthel or Madison Brengle, but Madison Brengle, again, had a nice season last year, was winning some lower events at the W80s, kind of stuff like that, but nowhere near Zhang's overall play, overall level, and Zhang's been great in these tournaments. So again, she was right around minus 185, and this number I had her closer to minus 250. Put the two together, and you get plus 145. Danilovic again is this afternoon. The other three will be early tomorrow morning, tennis and coffee, if you will. And then in Huawin, this one will be very early tomorrow morning. Bianca Andreescu goes up against Harriet Dart. Harriet Dart, a really solid server, has been playing better at some of these lower levels. And Bianca Andreescu has not been playing good tennis. Now, there is a chance she comes out here and absolutely smokes Dart. But again, Dart's coming in with the qualifier advantage. Has had plenty of time to work through these courts. Generally, servers do well here. And they hung a 9, not even a 9.5. That's not a typo. It's just 9. I get to push on this at 6-3 at minus 110. That sounds fantastic. I was hoping to bet a 9.5 at like plus 120, plus 125. This is much better. So give me the first set over 9 there. And again, that'll be early tomorrow morning. So a little bit of tennis in Lyon, some totals, a parlay, and some underdogs, and then one pick and one win.
And appropriately enough, because I have a meeting with the golf team in a few minutes here at the top of the hour, let's talk a little golf. Haven't made any bets yet. I will be sending out an early newsletter with some quick notes on the 3 courses. This is the final week of, hey, let's play on 3 different courses. And it really bothers the people who like to have the stats easily available. 2 of the courses don't have ShotLink. So you don't get your strokes gained data from Monterey or Spyglass. You just get it from Pebble Beach. So, yeah, everybody will be playing 6-hour rounds with Bill Murray and Macklemore, and everybody will be playing, 3 different courses throughout the week before heading to Pebble Beach again for the final round on Sunday. So one more stupid shithead tournament before we go. I can almost guarantee you there's nobody on screen right now that I'm going to be placing a bet on. Maybe Joel Dahman, because I know he's closer to 50 at some other books, and I don't hate his course fit here, but I'm going to run my numbers. Obviously, Noonan and I will have our little golf show tomorrow. We'll talk about outright bets. And again, congrats to him for showing me up and getting Max Homa this week. In hindsight, it was pretty apparent how he does well in California, but good job to him. And you know what? My matchups won. I did good on matchups. That's what I do. I don't pick golf winners. I pick golf matchup winners. So I had a bunch of pushes. They are winners, just not. I did have a bunch of pushes too. I don't mind a good push now and then. I thought I was getting one. My only loss in the week, guy birdies the 72nd hole, just nipped me by 1. I thought I had one more push in the bag. Really hurt my heart despite having a good week. So best of luck to you guys. Super Bowl props. We'll have some guests over the next 2 weeks talking Super Bowl props because there's so much to bet on nowadays, guys. Thousands of ways to bet on the Super Bowl. Looking forward to these next 2 weeks.
It's like a Cheesecake Factory menu.
Oh, it really is. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.